Hi, I'm Amber, and this is my sister Sam, and this is our third episode of Lipstick, Lies, and Liberation. In this podcast, we talk to women and our other viewers about different aspects of relationships, lies that we tell ourselves as women, societal pressures, and go through all the things. So today, we're going to talk about red flags when it comes to relationships that you have and what to look out for. So today we're going to kind of break it down and talk about the different things, see if we agree, and what we can do to kind of take them more seriously. So, Samantha, what are some red flags that you've seen in relationships or heard of from other women that you think are important to pay attention to?
Well, I think all of them. I don't think there's a single red flag you shouldn't pay attention to. I think that with women, we are just so conditioned and trained to be way too kind, way too nice, and like very forgiving and understanding. And we try to get to the bottom of a problem and try to solve it rather than being like, no, I have received the information I needed and that's all I needed, rather than like, oh, let me try to address this and let's fix it. My
Hmm.
biggest thing is I've always left relationships or dynamics like wishing I just trusted myself more and wishing I left sooner, even if it was like a quick little relationship that ended because of something that seems stupid or like happened only a couple weeks in, but it's like I kind of already had a few things that were saying it wasn't going to work out, even if it was like they were a nice person, it wasn't a huge negative thing. And sometimes those are the hardest scenarios when it's like they're nice and they didn't do anything crazy wrong. But I
Hmm.
had this one, I will share. I had this one person that I was dating, and it was kind of one of those scenarios when you're like, I'll give them a chance. Like they seem like a good person.
Yeah.
I'll give them a chance. And that's on my list of like rules for dating is whenever I work with like dating clients is like I do not encourage women. Like if you are thinking or have the mindset of like, well, I'll give them a chance. They seem like a nice person. It 99% of the time always ends up being like not a good scenario and not a good fit. And you should trust that part of you that is like not a full fuck yes. I mean, there's always uncertain things that you maybe need time to figure out and gather data, but yeah, like we know when it's not, when we're not excited to get to know someone or when something feels like not exciting or not quite right. But yeah, so I was dating this guy that I was friends with, and he was like kind of he came across as like a really big nice guy, had all these friends that were like my best friend met him and his friends when she came to visit, and we were like we feel like they're a musical cast of like in high school, like just like theater nerds, like they were so innocent and very sweet, but it was almost weird, like you kind of felt uncomfortable, like you couldn't be yourself because they were just so nice. It was like way too Hallmark, and it kind of felt like if you were your authentic self and maybe were sarcastic or something, or any sliver of something that wasn't perfectly wholesome, that it would like shatter the world. I
Oh.
don't know. And me and my best friend are very sarcastic people. So, and we're from Jersey, and Jersey is just the land of sarcasm. So, um, but yeah, like nice guy, seemingly sensitive artist, musician, and like went to a fancy school and like seemed smart, like very politically vocal, standing up for like human rights and like women and immigrants and um yeah, but ended up like saying sexist shit that was dumb and then like blaming it on like regressing or because he was around his family for Christmas and being like
Hmm.
just such bullshit. But he was the worst kisser ever. Just like so bad, like painful, so bad. Like and
Wow.
I yeah, and I was like, well, I'll give him a chance. Like I think he's kind of a nerd and doesn't really have much experience like at all. So I'll give him a chance. And that is the kiss of death, like that phrase. Like
Yeah.
don't give men chances like that. Like if you
Yeah.
feel that way, don't give them a chance. Like just trust yourself and move on. Um So yeah, if they're a bad kisser, that's a really big red flag. And then eventually he said things like he just always had an excuse for things and always blamed his behavior, his experiences on things. And it was like, no, you have to take accountability.
Mm.
Yeah, and he ended up saying something really insulting that like I wouldn't think to do a like cross market compare like a cross comparison for products already on the market for my startup because I didn't go
Mm.
to business school and he did. And
Mm. So it's kind of like a little like dig at you, trying to make you feel inferior to him, but in a not so obvious way.
yeah, just trying to seem like he's helpful and he knows so much when literally he knew nothing about like my
Mm.
product or the marketplace or like any didn't know anything. Like literally had never seen one of those products until he had seen my prototype and then tried to send me ones to compare it to, saying they were similar and they weren't. And I was like, "Why are you doing this?" And
Mm.
yeah, it was just a very and then he like cried and apologized and was like, "Well, I just" and then just dug himself even deeper and could not take accountability and just kept blaming it on things. And it's like I should have like this is my fault because I should have seen the red flags of like his immaturity and him not having
Mm.
experience and I should have just trusted that and known he wouldn't have been able to meet me there in a mature adult like um valuable way that I was looking for. And he's a good person. Like he's not a terrible person. He's a nice dude, but it just like was not a match. And then when I ended things, he was immature as well because he like barely would say hi to me or
That's
like
always a tall tale, how they treat you afterwards.
yeah, it was just such crap. And then
Hmm.
even my like Ben now, my fiance, he like when we first met, we were at this meetup group and he saw me say hi to this person because he was also at this event. And I was like, "Oh, hey, how have you been? Like, nice to see you." And he was like, "Hey." And then like turned away. And my fiance saw it and he was like, "What's that guy's problem?" Like um, so yeah, it's just like such a sign of like it just was always going to be an immature situation. It was not good. Yeah, so just trust the little things. Like the first thing you see, like honestly, there is no shortage of men and like there's no shortage of love in this world. And it's not saying that like people are super disposable. It's just like trusting your intuition, trusting that gut feeling of like I don't know, this doesn't really feel like a match. Trusting that rather than overriding it because of a lack mindset of like, well, I'll give him a chance. Like he's a nice guy. It's like, no.
Hmm.
Actually there's tons of love in this world and there will be someone perfect and like you don't have to just settle. So, yeah, it's funny. That's kind of one of the first things that comes to mind, but I've got a
I
million.
do agree with you. I think there's like two things I want to hit on.
Yeah.
One, you said almost in a way he was saying all the right things, like making you feel like he was very for empowering women and stuff.
Mhm.
And I've also had experiences like that too, where I talk to men and they kind of over explain themselves and tell me how much they support women or list examples of how they support women and think they're great and strong and like to empower them. And so now listening to you, I'm like, is that a red flag? Because like obviously you want someone who shares those views and will speak on those views. But if there's a man who's really pushing that hard, is that a red flag? Like they're trying to say like maybe their words aren't going to match their actions?
That's a really good point. Yeah, like if they have to announce it like it's this big thing they
Hmm.
want credit for. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or if like certain things happen in the relationship and then they feel the need to remind you and announce it, you
No,
know?
you.
So I think that is a red flag.
Yeah.
And another thing you said about trusting your intuition,
Mhm.
I can tell you with men and in relationships I've been in, when they end and you're devastated, I'm like, I knew this months ago.
Yeah.
I did. I knew it. You know, I knew it when this happened or when this happened. But like you, I think sometimes I just always want to see the best in people, and
Yeah.
I truly do. And so when something happens, if I love that person or if I'm mostly happy, I'll kind of make excuses for them. You
Yeah.
know, I'll kind of tell myself, like, oh, but maybe it wasn't really like this, or maybe they didn't mean this when they said that. And I think that is so important as women to listen to that gut instinct because it'll tell you every time. It will. And if you feel blindsided at the end because you realize somebody wasn't who you thought they were, I guarantee after you give it some time and you digest everything, you're gonna look back and be like, wow, yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like what we said the first two episodes of if you like learning how to value how you feel and to place that at a top priority, like how I feel matters the most, like that is the thing that matters the most, like how something makes me feel. And when we negate that or blow it off, that's when we find ourselves in situations of like just stacking up the red flags and
hmm And it
being
becomes a circus I talk about.
yeah, being very disappointed and it's like lame, it's a waste of time and it's just like not a fun way to date or live because yeah, there's no shortage of amazing men. So it's like you don't need to waste any time with someone who is not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I do think as women, we do carry so much power and energy, and it's hard to keep letting situations like that absorb your energy or
Yeah.
to like give your energy to people like that
Yeah.
because it's honestly a waste of time.
Yeah, something I love reminding my dating clients is like literally just being in the same room as a man gives them so much energy and like light and
hmm
it like we add so much value just our presence. Like just
hmm
being in the same square mile as someone. It like as a man, it's like adding so much value to their life. So like knowing that and owning it and honoring it and like owning and honoring your feelings yeah, it's just it's like the microcosm of how you set up your intimate relationships. But okay,
Yeah.
what's another red flag you have?
Hmm. I mean, there's so many of them.
Oh.
But I think another red flag when you're in a relationship is if you find yourself being love bombed,
Hmm.
which can be really hard. I know it sounds simple, right? We hear this term all the time, getting love bombed, and it seems like it should be obvious. But I think for women, especially if you have other things going on, like you're lonely or you're not feeling good about yourself, if someone comes along and does that, it can like really make you feel great and you kind of aren't seeing how much it is, you know? So I think that making sure that that's not happening, and if it is happening, just take a pause and just make sure you're paying attention to all the other things happening in the relationship, because I think love bombing is actually a huge red flag, but it's hard to dismiss it and to like see it because I mean, for me, I think, and for other women, it does make you feel really good,
Yeah.
you know?
I know when I first started dating Ben, he would do all like I mean all the time, constantly. He's doing incredible things for me and things that like especially in the beginning could have been categorized as love bombing. And he would always be like, "Oh, like I like you so much and I'm so excited and like so happy that we met each other and we're dating." And I would just always respond with like, "Yeah, we'll see." Like and like even now, like we're engaged, it's been a year and I'm like, "Yeah, we'll see how this keeps going." Just because like someone needs to prove themselves over time. Like that's the only way you can know if it's love bombing or not is like they need to
Mhm.
prove themselves over time. So it's like, yes, doing a bunch of kind things is really lovely and it can feel like a breath of fresh air or like, oh my God, this person finally sees me or they are finally treating me the way that I always wished I would be treated. And it's so different than how my ex was or like yeah, just it can feel so good, like you said, and but you have to see if it lasts over time. Normally, it starts to break down around like 3 months, the longest, like 6 months. Sometimes even a year, people can last a year of like having a facade. Especially if you're long distance, it's easier to fake that facade because it's like less time spent together. But that
Mhm.
consistency is key. Like, are they doing all these things consistently? Or is it just like, because I dated someone who it was just like a flood of all of these kind, like huge gestures and love bombing. And then it would like, they would disappear or something would happen. And like, they couldn't
Mhm.
maintain the facade and they would,
Yeah.
well, and then it would be like, what the hell is going on? And then they would come back full force and then they would crumble. And it's like, what? I don't understand what's happening. and then I accepted like, oh, they're depressed or like, oh, they're this. But it's like, no, it's you don't have to make excuses for someone, especially when you first start dating.
Hmm.
Haven't had enough evidence yet to prove any of the positive qualities you're like giving them so generously. So it's not about being harsh, it's just about being realistic and knowing that like you actually don't know this human being. And if they are someone who you've only been dating like 3 months or 4 months or 5 months and they are severely depressed and that's kind of keeping them in this like cycle of like love bombing and then like it falling apart, they need to be alone to handle that. Like they can't be in a relationship and like save yourself and cut them free. And like that is the
Mhm.
only healthy, safe, mature way to navigate that. Like again, there's no shortage of love in this world for them or for you. So like if it's meant to be, they'll get help and you'll come back together. But just like honor yourself and your time and like don't yeah, like there's no need to be loyal. Like I have a best friend who like his father passed away at 3 months of them dating and they like moved in together and then he started to get like abusive and just be really emotional and like yelling at her and calling her names and she was like, well, it's because his dad died. And I was like, I don't
Mhm.
fucking care his dad died. Like no one gets to talk to you like that. No one gets
Yeah.
like that's not love. And she was
Yeah.
making all these excuses for him because she's very kind and generous and loving. And but that's like she hasn't had enough time with him to prove who he was before that happened. So I was like, you're really in a shitty position because you don't know
Mhm.
if he was like faking it or if it was like this great love because you didn't have enough time before he went through this major trauma and he needs to work it out on his own. And then he ended up like going down a very bad, dark path, and it really affected her. And then she eventually got free from it. But like, it's just like tale as old as time. Like, it's just
Hmm. Well,
happened.
and that's true because it's like, look, like everybody in relationships, life is hard and you're going to go through things and you need a partner that you can lean on. And the
Mhm.
difference is the things that he was doing to take out those emotions on her were really inappropriate and like abusive, and nobody deserves that. So if he was just sad or just like, having issues like that and needed help, like that's something that you can like work through with a partner, I feel like, and be there for them. But then when they start to take things out on you, like yelling, talking to you
Yeah.
rudely, disrespectfully, like those are things, and it almost breaks your heart, especially when you know you're with a partner who's struggling and you're like, okay, I understand why you're struggling. Like this was a big deal. Like I would be sad too. Like,
Yeah.
but it's just like we're nobody's punching bag,
Yeah.
So you can, like, they can be sad and they can be like going through something, but they can't take it out on you.
No. Okay. What do you think about divorce as a red flag?
Oh, so it's so funny for me. And I know it's a messed up double standard, but I feel like, because I'm recently divorced and I'm in my 40s, but I
How
feel
long
like
have you
when,
been divorced, Amber?
oh, officially?
Yeah.
So I would say, like, spoke about, knew the marriage is over about 2 years, but officially, because divorces can be long and they take a while and there's a lot that goes into it. Um, I mean, like with paperwork and stuff, less than a year. So, and
Yeah.
like when I meet a woman who's divorced, I'm like, oh, good for you. Like individual, like independent, like, you're starting your life over, you've got everything, like that's amazing. And then when I meet a man that's divorced, and I'm like, what was wrong with you?
Yeah. What
That
did you do? What
what
did
did
you
you
do?
do that your
Yeah.
wife said, I am starting over again?
Yeah, I
Especially
have
if you
not.
had kids. Like, what did you do that she was like, this is worth breaking everything down and being alone, So it is a double standard, and I admit that. And it might not always be fair, but that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
But I know me and you have very different views about dating someone who's divorced. You have very strict guidelines and stuff. I have not had guidelines, but I am probably going to be adopting guidelines dating going forward when it comes to a man who is
Yeah.
divorced or in the process of a divorce.
Yeah.
So, why
Okay,
don't
so
you tell them your rules
yeah, my
when it comes to
rule,
that?
my rules for dating, because I mean, I'm 35 now, but I was the last time I was single was 34. And then like I was dating, I took a break from dating in my late 20s. And then so I've only like recently was dating for like a couple of years in my early 30s, early to mid 30s. So that's like a very strange age because you can date people in their late 20s. Not that I really wanted to, but like you could date people. I mean, you can date people of any age, but like for me and what I think makes sense. And I don't know. But like basically I was dating like 20s and 30s or 40s and like you're dating it kind of splits wide open. Whereas when you're in your
Mhm.
20s, you kind of are like only really dating mostly dating people in their 20s or like really early 30s. But when you reach your 30s, it kind of like really opens up. So you're encountering more people who are divorced. And so when I first moved to Richmond, I was dating this person who was going through a divorce and like they were in the military and the military makes you wait to until you can be officially divorced. I think it was a year or something before you could sign the papers. You had to be legally separated and then after that amount of time, then you have to be wait a certain time before you can finalize it. So it was like a few months
And
before
a
it was
lot of states have those. Like, a lot of states
yeah.
do have, like, once you file your divorce decree, you have to wait 6 months before it can be finalized. But you can still do all the paperwork, and then when it's 6 months, you're done,
Yeah.
But so there are a lot of states that have that.
Yeah, but it was like yeah, his ex-wife was just like classic narcissist, crazy, well, current wife, but they had babies and um she reached out to me. We talked on the phone. That's how I can pass judgment because normally I do have the woman's perspective in mind of like what
Yes.
did he do to her? Like what did he do to cause the divorce? And like I am of that mindset of like he probably did something wrong. No matter what he says, it's probably him that's the issue, not her. But I did speak to her, and so I feel like better in making a judgment. But anyway,
Yeah.
she just had a lot of issues and like things going on, but they were like right about to be divorced, and she like found out he was dating someone and then like used it against him and was like, "You're gonna walk away from your only chance to save your family." Meanwhile, she had been dating someone for 2 years, like said she was
Mm.
gonna marry them and like move the kids to be with them. So anyway, it was like this whole messed up situation that was very messy and dramatic. And I had like just moved to Richmond. I was still healing on my healing journey with my body and like dealing with a lot of stuff, setting up a whole new life, like getting my footing. And I didn't need that drama in my life. Like
Mhm.
there was no reason for me to be in that situation. And like it doesn't matter who's right, who did what. Like he was not the only good person I could have connected with, even though sometimes it feels that way. And that's why it's really important to not have a like scarcity mindset because it can feel so good to finally connect with someone. And it
Mhm.
can be rare to have those like really good connections, but like you can't let that control you because you have to understand your value and your worth, and you can't just like throw it out the window for someone who you find somewhat interesting and attractive who is like also interested in you. Like it just doesn't work. But so my rule now, I learned from that, and my rule now is like 2 years post divorce, like papers signed, it's over, it's completed, like they are not living together. They are
Mhm.
not like 2 years because 2 years is like they've already gone on some dates. They've hopefully had some therapy. They've already reconciled with like, oh my God, this is really over. And they've already like moved out, gotten like a new job if they needed, like anything that needed to change, like the dust is probably mostly settled after 2 years. So my rule is 2 years post signing, I will date someone if they're divorced, but not at all before that. But Amber was like, "Oh wow, that's like a lot. Like, wow." And now she's like, "Girl, you were so right." I'll never forget you calling me. You were like, "Your rule was spot on." Like, "Oh my God."
Well, even just listening to your story with all the things, and then the wife is like saying to him, like, "Are you really going to walk away from your family?" Even though she was dating someone, and it's just messy
Yeah.
sometimes, and it's messy, and like you can sit down and you can make it all make sense to yourself, and you can say like, "No, this is my person, and this is worth it, and this is, all the reasons why."
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot, and like. you don't really need all of that and you don't need to be dealing with that. And like there is something to be said with like everything being finalized and done. I don't know if I would like necessarily hold it to the 2 years. I think when I first became single, I had a boundary of wanting a partner to be officially divorced before I made any big decisions with anything.
Yeah.
And like that boundary got tested a lot and I walked away from that boundary. And I don't have a lot of boundaries. And that was
Oh,
one. I do
that's gonna change. You
I do
will,
now.
and
I
you
do
do
now. But
now.
coming out of my divorce, I did it, right? I was finding my voice. I was finding who I was. I didn't have a lot of boundaries, but I did have that one.
Well, you were following
Um,
your heart over everything, which is like you can do both.
yes.
Yeah.
So I do agree with you with that. Like moving forward, like that would be something I'm very strict about. Like if someone's going through a divorce, if it's not finalized and stuff, I'd be like, nope, like
Yeah.
call me when you're done and we'll see where we're at.
Mhm.
Because I just think, like you were saying, there's a lot to unravel. There's a lot of emotions, and sometimes people can like be in the process of divorce and it takes a while, and those two people can be in a good place, right? There can be no romantic feelings left. There can be no what ifs and stuff. And that's okay, but yeah, there's a lot going on. So like mentally and health-wise, I think it's best to just wait.
Well, it also was confusing because like our stepmom and our dad, they got married 2 years after our divorce, after their like our mom and dad's divorce was finalized. So they had been dating they were dating before our dad was officially divorced. So they were together and like our mom was kind of like probably,
She
there
was in
was
her she was in her new
drama.
relationship too. Yeah.
Yeah, she was in a new relationship too, but there was like drama between them and it was like messy. And so my parents were, because he was military, they were like, oh, that's like us. Like they were relating it to their story. And I was like, well,
Mm,
you guys are like married and happy and have had this beautiful life and like you laugh all the time and you like love each other so much. And it's been like 25 years they've been together, like our stepmom and our dad. And so it's like, oh, well, it worked out for them. So it could
hmm
work out for like me and this guy. And so it was like that also was in my head, but it's like absolutely fucking not. Like he can like again, yeah, like and first of all, if there's a way that that family could have stayed together, like yeah, that's what I want. That's what I would have wanted.
Mm.
And that's what I told him. I was like, if you weren't going to try to like do what you could to make it work, you wouldn't be the person that I thought you were, which like you deserve to do that for you and your family and your kids. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's just messy. And if you actually respect yourself and want a relationship, why would you even go down that road? It's like you're abandoning all the things you want for the chance at something that like it's just not aligned. It's just, and I fully believe that it doesn't have to be so hard. And like when
Mm.
it's right, it won't be so hard. So if it feels really hard and there's all these crazy scenarios that are like testing you and your self-respect and like giving you a lot of stress, like that, I feel like that is just like not it. Um,
Yeah, I definitely think you have to listen to like your body and how situations make you feel and if it's stressing you out. And then
yeah.
at the end of the day too, look, like that's a guy that you thought, almost romanticizing in your head, like we could be like my dad and my stepmom and it can work out and everything will be great.
Bunch of
And
bullshit.
like yeah, and he had certain time restrictions on his divorce, right? Like some states do. But it's like, okay, so this is when you see if a man's actions match what he's saying, When those restrictions are up, when those time frames are up, are they motivated to get that divorce done? Are they making things happen so that they can try to be there for you before you move on or you decide not to wait? So there's just a lot of different ways to look at it, but I do think if you meet somebody who's going through that situation and you decide to move forward with them or date them in a capacity where you do have boundaries, I think watching how they navigate their divorce and how motivated they are is definitely a sign too, whether this is somebody that you can like trust or want to build a life with.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
how high are you on the priority list? Because if you are, they're going to get that shit done.
Yeah, exactly. And how they treat their ex is how they're going to treat you. So,
Yes,
how they treat their ex when they're like leaving them is how they'll end up treating you. So, that's always a thing to pay
Mm,
attention to.
sometimes. It's a good indicator. But I
It,
think sometimes that can be used as a mask as well.
yeah. Oh, you mean like if they're treating their ex in like a really positive way?
Hmm.
Got it. Okay, yeah. I mean
Yeah.
like the negative things, like pay attention to the negative things. Yeah, yeah, agreed.
Hmm.
Okay, so some funny ones. Do you have any funny red flags that you want to share?
You'll have to give me a minute to think. Do you have any?
Yeah, I have a few.
Okay.
I mean, I have a number. So I have some red flags and I also have like rules for dating that I've written out before. But okay, so I don't date anyone that has like any sort of road rage at all. Like no
Mm.
like every once in a blue moon, like once every 6 months are like, "Oh my God," and they get frustrated, like that's fine. Like a little frustration is okay as long as it's not like yelling or like name calling or like hitting anything. But like road rage once a week or once a month, like no, that person is not safe. They can't regulate
I
their.
agree with that. Yeah, hitting
Yeah.
things, road rage, yelling a lot, definite red flags.
Fuck that shit. No selfies. Any man who has ever sent me a bunch of selfies is usually like a feminine weenie who like they're like mowing the lawn. Like
Like
they
little egomaniac.
yeah, they're like went for a run. Like I don't know.
Hmm.
It's just like ew, I don't want to see that. I didn't ask for it. I don't want to see that. Like why aren't you asking for a picture of me?
True,
Like
I can see that. Okay, I agree with
any
that. Okay.
anytime I've dated a man who sent a lot of selfies,
Yeah.
they were always very immature and like covert narcissists. Um, if they check out women in front of you, that's an immediate dump.
Oh, for sure.
If that ever happened, I or like they were like, "Oh, that woman's so hot." Like obviously there
Mm.
are times where like you'll be like, "Oh, wow, that celebrity like they're so beautiful." Or like I'll like compliment my friends and I'll be like, "Ben, look how beautiful my Olivia looks right now." Like and that's different than like like staring at a stranger on the street and being like, "Yeah," like in front of you in a disrespectful way.
So
I would
I've experienced
do
that in
that.
like the opposite way. Like I like be in a store, just like at Target or the grocery store or whatever. And
Mhm.
like I'll have like married men like walking past me with like their kids and their wives and like look at me and start smiling. And I just look at them like, ew. Like,
Yeah.
ew. Like this
Yeah.
woman is with you and she is like married to you and had your kids and you're gonna look at me?
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, I agree with that.
You just start flipping them off. Yeah. Um, yeah, no selfies, no pet names. Ew, no pet names.
Now, are we talking pet names like normal names like Babe or something like that? Or are we talking like really ushy gushy ones?
Anything. Anything.
Anything.
No
Anything
pet
besides your name?
no pet names until at least 2 months or you're officially dating.
Okay, okay, so they can come in later.
They can come in later, but like
Okay.
a pet name and you've only been dating like 4 weeks, like, ew. Who do you think I am? Like, I'm not a kindergartner. I don't want a little name from the t like that is like you don't know me. You don't get to make a name. Like it's like a weird false intimacy that they're trying to force. And it's
Hmm.
like it just
Yeah.
grosses me out. That's weird. Yeah, no. No poems or songs about you until it's been official or it's been 3 months. That love bomber that I dated would like, given we were friends for for like a decent amount of time, for like a year before we dated, but he would like write poems and songs about me and like send me his recordings of his songs about me. And that is such an ick and like a red flag. Um, no way. No. If you're officially dating, then that's different. But if it's like they're just
Yeah.
bombing, they're like, I wrote a song about you last night. Like, no.
Yeah. You want to
Ew.
sit down and hear it? No.
Yeah, no, I really don't. Okay. Yeah, they're never allowed to show up to a party empty-handed. Um,
Okay.
like that's a red flag. Like even if they're going to their mom's house, like when I was bartending and people would come in like Easter and get brunch, and then they'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to my mom's house and like see my siblings and my mom." I'm like, "What are you bringing her?" And they're like, "Nothing. I was just gonna show up." And it's like that woman
Hmm.
gave you life. It's a holiday. go get her some flowers and chocolate. Like, stop being a lazy piece of shit. Like, she probably is cooking like a meal and getting you
Yeah.
probably like got cute little like things and is
All
probably
the
cooking
hosting.
something. Yeah, and hosting and also like gave you life. So like the least you could do is go get something somewhat thoughtful that takes 2 seconds. And like where I worked was like kind of attached to a market. So I'd
Hmm.
always be like, go in the market, get flowers and chocolate and a card, and then you can go. And they would always come back and be like, I'm so glad you said that. Like my mom loved it, or like my grandpa. Like it's just very, it takes no
Good
time at all.
manners.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's very good manners.
it takes no time at all. It's cheap. It's like, yeah, it's manners. It's just thinking about someone else besides yourself and being like, oh, what do I have to offer? Rather than I'm gonna show up and like everyone is gonna take care of me. Like, why
Hmm.
would, yeah, like a man shouldn't have that mindset of like, I'm just gonna show up and like everyone's gonna do things for me.
Yeah, like I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna plop on the couch and sit down and
Mhm.
just wait to be fed, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, that's
Well, and that
really
makes me think,
gross. Ew.
but how many, I mean, if we're being
Ew.
honest, how many of us can say that we walk into these family gatherings or holidays and
Mhm.
the men are on the couch with their feet plopped up,
Yeah,
doing
just
nothing, you know?
being
And that's not
boring.
all of them. And I think you can tell which ones are like actively helping and which ones aren't.
Yeah.
And circling to like the manners things, like being good manners, like bringing something for the host so that they know that like you appreciate their time and everything they're doing.
Mhm.
Another thing is, I really like when a man will open up doors,
Yeah.
like doors to the place you're going to, doors to the car. But I
Mhm.
do think it's a red flag when they do that religiously when you're together to show you how respectful they are, and then that stops. So I
Oh,
think
yeah,
that's
it
another
can't
red
stop.
flag.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Did that happen to you?
Maybe.
Like it would have like they would do it and then they just like stopped.
Yes. Yeah.
That's crazy. That is
Hmm.
crazy.
Because then you can
Then
tell it's not something they like genuinely do. And that's not something that like is like a genuine part of their behavior because then it
yeah.
would just stay. And I'm not talking about like, okay, like once in a while. I don't need somebody like sprinting in front of me, tripping over themselves to try to get to the car door before I get
They
there.
shove an
Okay. I'm
old
not,
lady out of the way. Like,
yeah, I'm not saying that. Like,
yeah.
but like when it's so much and then it stops, it's like red flag.
Yeah. Like Ben always, my fiance Ben, he always opens my car door. He always opens the door. Sometimes I get there first and then I open it, but it's not a big like the door, the
Hmm.
car door. I wait. I'll just stand. I'll just stand there.
But it's
It's like,
sweet and it's good manners and it's just like something so small
mhm,
that men can do to just be like, I got you.
yeah. Well,
Like I
he
want to
genuinely
pamper
gets
you.
Yeah, he genuinely gets pleasure out of doing it because it's like who he's being, not like
Hmm.
what he's getting from doing that. It's like
Yeah.
he is proving to himself that he is a certain person. And
Hmm.
that's the kind of
Yeah.
person you want to date, like the person who's doing it because that's authentically who they are. And even if it
Hmm.
wasn't you, they would still be behaving the same way because it's like they're in integrity with themselves. And that
Yeah.
is the most important part. Never giving suggestion. I never give suggestions for dates. There
Hmm.
I have a story. Um, there was a person, so I dumped the love bomber and I was like, man, I'm so over men. Like, I just want to go on a little adventure for myself. Like, I don't want to meet anyone. I just want to take myself on an adventure and have fun. And I'm just gonna like enjoy and like push myself to do things that kind of scare me. And so I drove 2 hours by myself, which like I was like and am still overcoming driving anxiety. But I
Hmm.
drove 2 hours to this cute little mountain town. I got a hotel. I brought my dog. I like looked up a few things to do that night. And I just like frolicked around and had fun and like went from place to place, got food, went shopping, like just was having a great time, like thrifting, vegan restaurants, and like the place that I was, like everyone was so cute and kind of like hangs out together. Like even married couples were turning and talking to me, like older couples, people who were like everyone was just hanging out and talking to everyone. And it was really cute, but and everyone was loving my dog, Jack, and like excited
Hmm.
to pet him. And so this one guy came up to me and I saw him come up to me. I was like, "Oh my God, he's gonna hit on me. I do not want to like I'm not talking to any guys, like no way."
Yeah.
And So then we end up talking, and it actually we have like this crazy connection that was like really awesome. And I ended up like frolicking with him and this girl and his best friend, and we like and the girl had only met them like a couple times before, just out and about, because it's a very small community. Like you're bound to run into the same people. So even if you don't know each other, it's like you might have met once or twice before. So everyone's just kind of like buds. And so we went and like did karaoke and like went to a jazz bar, and the guy was like begging me to meet him for breakfast or lunch. And so I was like, I have plans. Like I wasn't trying to meet anyone. I had plans for myself. Like I can't just go to lunch with you. Like I don't want to meet a man right now. Like what the hell? So anyway, I decided to go to lunch. We like have this amazing date, and then he was like, I really want to see you as soon as possible. And then so then he was gonna come to like my city that Friday. So like the same week, because I was there like a Thursday, so the next Friday. So he was at a convention in DC, drove down to Richmond, booked a hotel without me even threatening him, because I was going to be like, you can't even use the bathroom in my apartment. Like, you don't get to know where I live. You don't get to come inside my home. Like, I don't know you. You're a stranger. And this is how I act. Like, men don't deserve your trust until you have known them for like months. And so I make men prove who they are to me. So I was like I didn't even have to I was gonna threaten him, and I had this whole plan, but I knew I didn't even have to do that. He just like booked a hotel for himself because he knew he wasn't gonna want to drive afterwards, like after the date, because it had been like a really long day. So then he was like, "Okay, I'll be ready at this time. I would love to like go to this place. It's they have a vegan dinner." And then it ended up being closed for an event. So then he started to get like lazy and was like, and we hadn't met up at this point yet. And he was like, um, so where do you want to go tonight? And I was like,
Mm.
well, call me old fashioned, but I wasn't expecting to plan the first date. And then he pushed back and was like, well, I'm not from here. I don't know places, and you're vegan, so it makes it difficult. And I just didn't respond. And I was fully prepared to like leave his ass and go meet up with my friend who was reading in the park. Like if he couldn't get it together, I was not going to go on the date, even though
Yeah.
drove to my city and he booked a hotel room, and he was like only there to see me, and he left his like work conference early to see me. I didn't care about any of that. Like I didn't let that pressure me or make me feel guilty or like I owed him anything. 'Cause yeah, if he can't plan a date, then I don't want to date him. So um,
Yeah.
it takes 2 seconds to type into Chat GPT like vegan dinners in this city. So
Yeah.
anyway, he like texts me 10 minutes later. I don't respond. He texts me 10 minutes later. He's like, "Okay, leave your house in 3 minutes. I'm gonna leave here in five. It's around the corner from my hotel. They have a vegan menu, and we're gonna eat dinner there, and then we're gonna go see music at this place, and I'll like Uber us back and forth." And I was like, "Okay." So then I left my house in like 20 minutes. I was just taking my time, and I like kind of testing him too. Um, but yeah, like even though I felt this great connection with him, and even though he went like he put all this effort in to see me and to go on a date with me, I still was very prepared to walk away if he couldn't plan the date. Because like that is just gonna set that would have just set me up to be in a miserable relationship with someone who couldn't put any effort in, and I would have been the one over functioning, and I'm not available for that. That leads to burnout, that leads to resentment, that leads to like health problems. So like that from the beginning was like a red flag. Like if you can't plan a date, I will not date you. And I don't care if you did all these nice, generous things ahead of time. Like I won't let that override my boundary.
Well, and I
Whereas
think
like,
that's great.
yeah.
Yeah, because when you meet somebody and you have that good connection and it's exciting and it's the beginning of the relationship, it's really hard to be like, okay, I'm gonna keep to like this boundary I have or this standard I have. But you're right, because if they're not willing to put that effort in at the beginning, then it's like, all right, you're just wasting my time here.
Yeah, in the beginning
So
is
I
the
think
most
it's,
exciting part. Like they should be trying to impress you so hard in the beginning. And like
yes,
the whole
especially that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I feel like we've done a rundown of a lot of good, really big red flags when it comes to dating and men and establishing some boundaries. And we would love to hear comments from you guys about if you agree with us with the red flags that we talked about. If you think some of them are too harsh, or if you have your own red flags that we didn't hit on, because there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot more than just these, but that's all
We
we have
just
time
touched on it,
for.
barely
Mhm.
did, but yeah, so let us know. Thank you guys so much for joining us for our third episode of Lipstick, Lies, and Liberation.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.